Behöver du en bil? MABI Hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. MABI Hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Well, we reach crunch time in the championship as we get closer and closer to the end of the regular season, but there is still all to be played for, and especially tonight at another double header. We're here at North Wilkesboro for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge, of course, rounds 12 and 13 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. My name is Cameron Roger, alongside me is Lorenzo Bonda, and of course, in the production is Dane Baird, as always, of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, and we can't wait to see how everything is going to look. Here's the schedule, and we are there right in the middle, rounds 12 and 13 at North Wilkes. We've got two races for you this evening, both scoring the full same amount of points, so a lot of points on offer tonight before we go to Pocono and Talladega to finish off the regular season, and then we start the playoffs. And of course, round 15, round of 10, and then we will find our champion at Homestead Miami on the 9th of May. So still plenty of racing over the course of the next 3 months until we get our champion. It's going to be a whole load of fun, but there, of course, is some championships up for grabs, and drivers getting those wins will confirm themselves basically a place in the playoff. Here's how we stand as it is at the moment. Jesper Eriksson, 5 wins. Blixholmer on 2. Hafliderson and Aronson on 1. And down there in your P15 is Skoglund. And he's leading the way from Lundberg by about 14 points. So it's getting very, very close indeed. And with our 2 races tonight, let's have a look. And as you see there, we're looking at the playoffs. We've already got 5 drivers with those wins confirming their places, but still 10 more to do over the next 4 races in the next 3 weeks. It's going to be a whole load of fun. And as I say, Lorenzo Bonda alongside me in the commentary booth. And Lorenzo, this series, it always brings some interesting racing. And today we come to, of course, North Wilkes. 5/8 of a mile. It's going to be, a lot of carnage out there potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always carnage. We've seen that ever since its revival in the NASCAR series when they came back in 2021. Actually, 2021 when they came back and iRacing scanned this track in 2019, 2 years prior to the repavement of the track. Now, it's home today of the All-Star race. It's a very fun race. It was one of the highest rated tracks by everybody. It was such an iconic track. It's one of the NASCAR originals when NASCAR was launched in about like 1949. So it's good to see the 5/8 of a mile track back at it for real life racing and for virtual racing as well.
And of course, we do a lot of the, speedway, super speedways on our calendar, but we do have Bristol and a doubleheader in North Wilkes. So 3 out of the 15 races are on these short tracks. And that means there's potential for things to happen very, very quickly in this style of racing. And it's also, as you can see, it is a scorcher out there today. It's very, very sunny, and it's going to be very difficult for the drivers. We still have 2.5 minutes left in the quali session, but with it being so short, a lot of the lap times have already come in. Here's Linus Brewstrom, slightly updated livery there for Bright Esports in the 71 machine. Probably the best driver so far to not get a victory under his name. He is technically sitting 3rd place in the championship if you look at the total points, not just the wins.
Yeah, he's at 481 points. So see our fellow RaceSpot commentator, right? Having the chance to advance to the playoffs, and I think it's going to be quite interesting going to the next 2 rounds when the playoffs kind of reach Chicagoland and Richmond, which are 2 tracks that I'm going to say drive quite similarly, but they're not long tracks. Chicagoland 1 mile, Richmond is, I think, if I remember correctly, is nearly 3/4 of a mile. So it's quite of a 2 different tracks in how you race them, but it's good racing nevertheless. And I think qualifying over here is going to be important with 1.5 minutes to go to set who's going to be right in front. Ericsson will stop at the standings in the practice. He's stopped at the standings in the qualifying again from what it looks like. So looking forward to see who gets that clean air once we get the green flag.
And it's going to be interesting style of race. Of course, this track is very irregular compared to some of these more modern tracks where they're a bit more symmetrical. The corner's very different. One straight's uphill, one straight's downhill, that sort of thing. It's certainly those proper old school vibes from many decades ago that is being relived now in the well into the 21st century. Here's a Hawken shot in the 101 machine for the pick last by Bright Esports, trying to work his way around. As it stands, you say we've got Ericsson up there with Broström alongside him on the front row. Championship leader Ericsson and second place man Eric Blixt on the second row. So some of the fast drivers all the way up towards the front. We have two races tonight, 75 laps and 135 laps. Of course, the first race, the grid will be determined from this qualifying session. And then the second race will be a top 20 invert. So that is a lot of extra fun that we're looking to come for in that second race.
Absolutely. I'm loving the format for the second race. Of course, you could say the feature race of sorts, if you want to call it at that. Even America's guy have feature race. I think they invented the term. But with that being said, it's going to be quite interesting how they're going to negotiate with top 20 and those want to climb up in the front. And the field's going to be kind of like sparsed out throughout the field, but it's going to be a good qualifying nevertheless. Looking forward for 75 laps this first time.
And we have 26 drivers out there on the server. So a top 20 invert is, pretty much most of the field, about 80% of the field that is going to be inverted. So it is going to be a load of fun when we get there. So we're getting prepared for the first race of the evening. 75 laps coming your way. Ericsson, Broström on that front row with Ericsson and Blixt just in behind. A nice paintings job there from Eric Blixt as well. Havlidersen and Gunnarsson also rounding out a Alkensek 4, 5 and 6, all with the sort of retro old school liveries, which is rather nice. And of course, their teammate Solo as well in P7. Wallin up there inside your top 8 with Holmer, a 2-time race winner this season. Ericsson there in P10, Solander and Skoglund are inside your top 12. Good to see a whole host of different liveries coming in for this race. Love to see that. Orman and Helmbro following behind. Allard, Nyholm not too far behind as well, with Broström and Larsen rounding out your top 18. Helmbro twice pole position driver this season, but not quite today. Johansson and Holmbaum inside your top 20. Hawken Schott, Bratberg, Scherp and Uvenen round out your top 24. And then the last couple of drivers on the grid are going to be Marcus Hagman and Kenneth Tier in the number 49 machine. As drivers now all line up here at Norfolk's, the first race of the night behind that pace truck. And Lorenzo, in a short track situation like this, just how are the nerves going into those first laps? It's got to be very difficult for these drivers. Especially
if you're in the mid to the backpack, right? I think you're going to be kind of like nerve-wracked in terms of how you negotiate this chaos of short track racing. We saw Bristol, can be, I think, more chaotic because you're on a higher banking. This is only 13 degrees within the banks and 3 on the straights. So despite being asymmetrical, the banking is they're quite consistent. But I think it's going to be quite interesting for those in the mid pack to negotiate, maybe manage tires for the long run prior to the pit stop whenever we get the stage 1 finish, and see what it leads us all the way to the end. Yeah, we are looking basically we're looking at the tires going well over sort of 50 laps. So that stage is going to be interesting with how that one works out, especially in the second race being lap 65. But lap 30 is what we need to look out for. There are, of course, stage points. 10 points for the winner, going 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone inside that top 10. And there are some big points when we get to those playoffs. Being that extra 5-10 points ahead of your rival is going to be very crucial indeed. There's Linus Broström on the outside of the front row in the number 71 Bright Esports machine. Not won a race this season. We know he loves short tracks, especially Martinsville. We don't have on the calendar this year, but he is an absolute master around this style of racing. Let's see what he is going to do. Of course, Araldson there, already a race winner so far. And I mean, this field is absolutely stacked with, of course, Blix and Ericsson in behind with 8 wins apiece between them. It is certainly going to be a tough race to win, and they have 2 opportunities, of course. Top 20 invert at the end of this first race, but 75 laps go green for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge, and it looks like it's actually Linus Broström from the outside of that front row who's going to try hold it all the way around the outside of turn 2. We have the run onto the short back straight. No, it looks like Ericsson can hold it on that inside line, as we say 2x2 at the front. Absolutely. I think it's natural for you to get a better run on the entry of turn number 1 and 3, but holding that inside line gives you a little bit of a better grip coming outside, and of course, outside line builds a bit more heat. But we know for a fact, Cameron, that whenever you build more heat quickly, we know that you're burning more of the tires.
Absolutely, as Ericsson slides his way through up into second place. Bergstrom has to drop back in towards third. He's a little bit further down. There's Janssen there in the midfield, but actually there's Kenneth Tier making up loads of positions already in the opening couple of laps of this race. Already on to lap 3. The laps will go by very, very fast. Just 19 seconds per lap around here. So it is going to be a very fast race. Maybe only about 25 minutes if we say green flag all the way, but cautions are ever present. As the top 5 have a little bit of a breakaway. Top 5 is Havlinson there just getting a little bit of a gap to his teammates Gunnarsson, but they're staying pretty stable so far at the front.
Yeah, everybody just kind of safe. And one thing that I got to say, I'm loving these liveries from Broston, Blix, Gunnarsson, and Bohlin. I think Blix running the team Rusties and Gunnarsson and Bohlin running the team Dinoco. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it when the teams get involved, especially in this league. There's such like a community-orientated community of drivers, but a league, whatever you want to call it, and they all seem to get behind each other with these things. And yeah, some cool liveries. Yeah, the Dinoco is there on the number 1 machine. So not quite the Plymouth, but certainly. Actually, of course, one thing we need to mention is the first race with the new cars as well. Of course, the facelifted cars that we have for the 3 chassis this year. Of course, I don't think we actually have too many Toyotas out there. Pretty much just the Mustang and the Camaro, but certainly good to see all the teams getting used to that.
Yeah, our first Toyota is actually with Daniel. I was going to say Daniel Solo or Robert. Actually, Robert Ericsson is running number P9. That's the first of the Toyotas. You can see the new Camry look, and I gotta admit, I don't know if you've seen this more up close. For me, the facelift they have from last year to this year, I love this new look on the Camry. I think it became one of my least favorite to close to my most favorite. I think so far my favorite is still the Mustang, but the Camry is right up there.
Yeah, it does look. Real nice. And of course, you had the next gen cars for a couple of years now, 22, 23. So getting a bit of a lift. And of course, the Dark Horse Mustang as well coming in there looks very mean. So great to see the manufacturers just evolving these cars as we will continue our way through 2024 and beyond, which is what we like. And just in behind him is Dan Holmer there, just on the outside of the top 10. He has lost that place to Ericsson at the start, but of course, he's a 2-time winner so far this season and doing such a great job to put his name up there as a championship contender. To be honest, we did have a good speak to him in things Watkins game last week after that one, but of Charlotte in Atlanta. Just recently winning 2 races in a row. So he's coming on some very, very hot form, but not getting too far up inside the top 10 just yet.
Yeah, and I think more of an important thing is we're looking at the biggest movers and downers in the field. As I think the biggest downer might be Allard at the back in 24th place. And I think the biggest one might be Uvnen with 4 places gained back in Holbrum in P16. The interesting aspect, you don't see a lot of overtakes. We're not seeing that too many overtakes. I think this is going to be more based on driver errors than anything else as you lose grip and pace more and more as the stint goes. And as I think Linus was talking to us prior to the broadcast, it is a scorching hot track. You mentioned it. So managing the tires, especially now going around the second lane and not off throttling outside of the corners, will be very important for you to have that real ideal run through the entire stage.
Absolutely, and one person that we know who is pretty good at these things is Jesper Eriksson. He's trying to chase down his teammate, the number 24 Aronson, up towards the front. Just 0.4 of a second between them as Helmberg makes a move on Salander back for P12, but not able to get it just yet. But yeah, I think you're right. This part of the stint, they're going to be keeping those tires in check enough that they have some pace at the end. Linus was saying about over a 50-lap run, you're looking at around a second per lap drop. So if you can reduce that as much as possible, then by the time you get to the end of the run, you'll be certainly looking a lot better. We're halfway through the first stage though already, and the top 3, top 4 have stayed pretty much in the same order since we got the start. Here's how Skoglund lost all those positions, just losing the rear end through turn 1. He did manage to save it through the exit turn 3, but then he was collected. I think that was Bjorn Brostrom there. Unfortunately, just collecting the 83, and Skoglund went round.
Yeah, and just showcasing that 4 wide at North Wilkes is not a good thing for you to go.
Yeah, it's too short for that. I know it is a short track.
It's way too short.
Yeah, it is actually quite wide though in many places, but you just don't have the space, the forward space to sort of speed up or get out of a situation. You're really sort of stuck there on the exit of turn 2. And that was just a bit unfortunate. He's actually in the pit lane, unfortunately, for Scotland.
You know what kind of this resembles a little bit? It resembles a little bit of what we're going to see in Richmond, right? Bristol is completely different. We know it is a tight track. Yeah, arguably, can I say the tightest track of the entire NASCAR calendar, real life? But this race is similar to Richmond. Richmond is kind of a wide track. It has some lanes for you to explore, especially on the back stretch. And if you're coming down the front stretch, maybe side by side, and kind of spaces out for a 3 wide. But other than that, it's a very interesting track for drivers to go on, especially as it's relatively new for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Just sort of being reintroduced into the scene in the last few years. Of course, we don't have the fully updated version here, but there's been massive works, millions and millions and millions been spent to get it up to standard, up for scratch for NASCAR racing. And it's great to see that facilities like this don't just go to waste. There's Tony Uvenen there, just on the edge of the top 20. He's got Hogman in behind in the 12 machine, trying to find his way around the outside, but you have to carry so much more speed to get the runs here. You really have to work for it. And Uvenen there can just come up. So it definitely looks like the inside line, as you would expect, is the one of the better choices. But yeah, these cut turns are a little bit more open, just not loads and loads of banking compared to some other tracks, especially as you say with Bristol. Yes, it is slightly shorter, but the amount of banking just means you can take so much speed through those corners.
Yeah, but I think the important thing is about stopping the car appropriately. You see, you saw behind Ovenen, that was Kenneth Tier, try to do that overtake. He's gonna, I think, try it again, maybe. Hagman is going to try it again, actually. Try to do that overtake. And you can see braking the car and try to maintain that inside line is what the difficult part is as the stint goes on. And there are some struggles. You can see right in front of him, Bradberg also having massive issues trying to break that car and keep that inside lane and having a really good run now. So the triple one can actually lose a few spots in the next few laps.
Yeah, everyone seems to be sort of backing up into each other here. I think one of the drivers at the front, that's Hawken Shot, and then Bjorn Brewster, and then Bratberg, maybe just slowing down ever so slightly as we get further and further into the stint. Just 6 laps remaining before we get to the stage, and the extra 10 points up towards the front. Aronson has dropped his teammate of Jesper Eriksson. He's looking very strong there to take another victory. Still 50 laps to go in the first race of the evening. Of course, you have a second race to come. Top 20 of this race is inverted. But we do have this stage, which is going to be very important, especially for the likes of Aronson, who've got 1 race win so far. Getting these extra points, even if they don't win the race later, is very, very important when we get to the playoffs. And just 4 laps remain in this stage.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to see what the strategy is going to be for those who come to the pits, because from what it looks like, a 30-lap run, obviously is going to churn the right side tires, right? Especially that right front. That right front, I think, is going to be basically, I would estimate, since it is a short stage, it's not going to be right about like 40%, 30% sometimes, as you would get in these high scorching tracks, for example, like Darlington, if you had a really good long run. But other than that, I think it's going to be those who come up and try to save for a different strategy. I think this is going to be Ford tires whenever we come to the stage, and then maybe 2 tires if we ever get a yellow flag as the stint goes on in the second stage.
Yeah, we do remain green flag in this championship, though, which is always been an interesting one with how it works out. But it also has depended on the fuel number. But we're told the fuel, of course, is not a big thing here, but we're certainly looking good for this stage. Aronson is leading the way, as he has done pretty much since that first corner. From the pole position, he's pulled almost a second and a half to his teammate Jesper Eriksson, and he's got just 1 more course to go of this 5/8 mile track. And then he'll be winning those extra 10 points. And I mean, he's looking fast. He's pulling massively away from the top 10, and he's looking already on the back, potentially of starting to lap some of these drivers. But as we come out the final corner, the stage of the first race is going to go to Aronson in the number 24 machine here for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge. But of course, we stay racing for another 45 laps.
Yeah, we're still. I think we're going to be up to, like you said, 50 laps, and I think, and the rest is pretty much history. But I think for Ericsson right now, I think it was where it starts to get slightly more difficult, right, Cam? You come into traffic, especially with traffic that is trying to, overtake one another. You see Scher, Bradberg, Allard, and I think Johansson not far behind, try to do overtakes or try to get closer to one another, and that makes things more difficult, especially if you are the leader. And if you're the leader, we know there's no blue flags for oval racing. So how do you negotiate with guys that are trying to do their best and reach and do overtakes? Do they lift the guys up that needs to be overlapped?
The bit that is also quite difficult is if you look at the actual lap times. The drivers further back here, I mean, they're still doing like 20.6s, etc. Arvidsson's doing 20.3s. So it's only a couple of tenths a lap. It's not like he's absolutely massively faster than some of these drivers. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to get through and navigate it. I'm sure he would have loved that he was able to get to the stage before getting to this traffic. But he's looking good so far, getting past the 52 machine there of Haflidi Johansson. So let's see how this one goes. But it's going to be, just a whole load of traffic for the next 40 laps.
Yeah, especially with the fact that now Ericsson reached out a little bit. You can see now someone that was Allard giving way for Ericsson. So that was quite clean and quite nice to see that being done. Meanwhile, Ericsson is slightly struggling, even though he actually clinched the gap to about 2/10. But traffic gives and traffic takes, especially in a short track like this.
Yeah, you can easily lose a few seconds. I think that was potentially Bratberg they just lost some time on. Holmer's got Ericsson for P9. Tirth has got Hogman. Is that Hogman there on the inside of the turn number 3? So potentially some contact or something's happened there for him to be quite slow. As there's Ericsson battling with Holmer just inside the top 10. Look at all the cars on the back of them. There's Helmbro on the inside line there, and Solander I think as well involved in that one. Awesome stuff. Actually, it's Anton Orman I should say in the 42 machine as they try and work their way through. This is getting a bit feisty.
Yeah, it's slightly feisty, especially with Orman starting to struggle with the tires. Therefore, you can see he's pushing the car. I think he nearly dinked the wall at one point. Ericsson as well. Now you're going to see the struggle coming out of the 42. Well, kept it straight this time, but that was a massive skid twice the last lap.
Yeah, they're starting to really push, and some start to struggle with the tyres as they go off just a little bit. Others will take the opportunities to try and get through. Oh, look how much they check up in the middle of the corner. That's Ericsson. And, of course, Orman's got so much more speed, just needs to find the way through. But so far, Ericsson putting his car in the perfect places to hold on to. Helmbro is going to have to try it all the way around the outside as he has done for a few laps now. But is he quite able to get the momentum? He's going to have to really push and burn up those tyres a bit on the outside line.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a painkiller right now for Helmbro as tucks back into the single file and tries to follow Ullman the best his capabilities. And the good thing about you can see of Ericsson's work, looking from Ullman's perspective, you can see he doesn't go for the apex. It's kind of like you're not parking on the apex. You go for a wider arc, especially at the entry of the corners, kind of maintain that wider angle, but you slowly clinch towards what would be the natural apex of the corner, thus taking away all the momentum out of the 42, and that's really good defensive efforts right there from the number 35 driver.
Yeah, he's doing a great job considering he's in a slower position at this point in the race, but the 42 can't quite find a way past. Of course, one of the Alcantech drivers running a car's livery. Absolutely great to see them getting really involved in this race. As we get to 33 laps remaining of the first race, we have a second race coming up, 135 lap stage at lap 65. Top 20 are inverted, but of course you want to get all the points that you can in this first race, as it might be half the length, but it is shorter. Sorry, it's half the length, but it's the same points is what I'm trying to say. So you have to put in half of the work technically to get the same amount of points.
Yeah. And also more interesting, I think now the 42 has a little bit of a mistake. Comes Helmbro on the inside, try to get the run, but couldn't here, Cam. And therefore, we're back into the status quo of the number 42, following the number 35, and things are more interesting between everybody. What is going to be interesting for me is that second race. Let's just say, how does what would be the more natural, faster cars like Ericsson, Linus, Broström Eric Blix and Gunnarsson and everybody else trying to negotiate what would be the slower traffic at the start of the race. That's probably going to make it more chaotic from my point of view, or would they be thinking about strategy all the way?
Ooh, I think the long-term strategy is probably going to be the one for the drives today. Is Helmbro once again looks like the inside, not enough this time around. These three staying in formation for another. But yeah, I think the long-term strategy and holding on to the tyres is always the biggest factor, unfortunately, in racing. They're the four things that are actually holding you to the track. So if you keep them in a better condition, you have more grip and you can go faster. It's pretty much as simple as that. As we're looking at the top source, 16, 17 now have been lapped. And here is that battle as they have the 24 coming up behind them to put a lap on them. And despite all this traffic, Eracingligan is still holding a 1.5 second lead that he has had for about 10 laps or so now. Orman has got past. Helmbro might be able to do so up the insides. We go 3 wide for a moment, coming through turns 3 and 4 as Orman gets inside the top 10. And we're looking at Helmbro to also get through Ericsson, who drops down into P12.
Yeah, I think that was a really good move from the Alken Tech and HR driver. For what happened is he gave Ericsson a little bit of a bump coming into the final corner, and I think kind of set the number 35 a little bit awry, coming to the exit of the corner, a little bit of a wiggle coming from the 35, and thus losing that momentum and maybe corner entry grip. And because of it, they were fighting side by side through 1 and 2, coming into 3 and 4 naturally because of Helmbro being in the better line, made the overtake, and thus the number 35 instead of 1 for 2, it was like 2 for 1, but inverted. That was basically the same thing I just said. I just realized that.
Yeah, absolutely. As Helmbro now is trying to get past the 42 to get himself up inside the top 10. And they are, I mean, when you're at this point also in the invert, you're right in the middle of what it's going to be. So these positions aren't really going to change too much from that. So you just want to be getting the points in this race so far. And of course, you never know what that second race is going to do. 135 laps, more potential for cautions, more issues with the tyres, and with the strategy potential is always looking so much faster there coming in towards turn 3. But the battles continue on a little bit further down. So this is Blix on the inside line there, trying to get through on the inside of Brostrom in that P20 so far, as Hogman there gets up his inside to get himself up into that P20 position. Now the number 11 of Sherp is up the inside of turn 4. Can he make his way past the number 41 as well? There could be 2 positions lost in 1 lap for the 41, and he does so as there's the number 1 of Gunnarsson putting a lap on him.
Yeah, just, sometimes traffic is just brutal that way. Meanwhile, bro, I just noticed, I think Solo and Bohlin betting for P7 and 8, I think they're trying to use the traffic towards their own advantage. And because of this massive wiggle, I think coming out from Bradberg right there, but kept the car on track and made the life of Gunnarsson a little bit of a scary moment.
Yeah, it's not fun. Not fun being a driver when you're trying to go through all the traffic like this, especially when we get higher and higher up the order. It's not, just the last couple of positions. It's people fighting for actual positions themselves inside some good points. And now they've got the leaders coming through. Makes it a little bit more difficult, as there's a Larson in 57 machine on the outside of Gunnarsson. Of course, our number 1 reigning champion in the Darnico livery for this week in the Alken Tech team, and trying to find his way up towards his teammate of Blix, but he's behind by about a second or so now. And of course, he's got another one of his teammates behind with Havlinson. But Roland there gets past Solo as well for P7. Solo has been blinking just a little bit, but I think he's continuing on nicely, and he's got some speed in that 13 machine, but not quite enough to potentially get back. Roland, no, actually, it could be on the exit of turn 2. He gets a bit of a run on the inside of turn 3, and the inside line definitely looks to be pretty superior around here, and he's going to actually keep that on the exit of turn 4 as well. But of course, 70 will have a bit more run in the Bright Sports coming down the straight, but it's going to be Solo just gets back past. Nice rotation of those positions.
Yeah, and you can see Bohlin is lightly clipping the grass. He's gonna get momentum coming to turn number 3, but blocked by Solo this time by. Therefore, finally, the number 13 having a moment to breathe, even though he still has a 72 breathing down the neck, as we have 18 to go.
Certainly do, as we get closer and closer to the end of this first race of the evening. And we're looking at Ericsson leading the way by 1.5 seconds. It's always been 1.5 seconds, as Ericsson is keeping that pace on him. But Oliver Bohlin here having a very good run out, actually, at the only road course of the season a couple of weeks ago, back at Watkins Glen. And look at the run he's got there off turn 2. Can he slide up the inside of the 13 Chick Hicks livery? And it looks like it's going to be that way as he will hold it down to the inside line, get P7, and should be able to just run solo up enough to hold on to that position in towards turn number 1 as the 13 holds it on the outside, but has to back out of that one.
It's kind of like the fun thing, if you know, of the switchback. If Bohlin doing the switchback one lap, bro, Solo doing the switchback the other lap, you can see now the switchback nearly once again coming out of the number 13 on the inside. He loses a little bit of momentum. I think the car skidded away outside of the corner, but still the battle is still pretty much going between them, and they cannot sleep way too much. Homer has actually caught up to them a little bit, and if they sleep, especially going through these corners so aggressively, there's a chance that Homer, hello, you can see that right running the back bumper of the number 13.
Yes, he's dropped off there. The drivers are coming for him, though. That is Homer and, of course, Peter Helmbro as well, just inside the top 10, and they can smell some extra positions inside the final 13 laps of this opening race at North Wilkes. It's certainly been a difficult one to make those positions, but when you do, we seem to have some amazing side-by-side battles that go on for quite a few laps. You really have to sort of overcommit to try and get one done, and Homer is chasing down that 13 machine. He's getting closer and closer, has to get past a little bit of traffic there, bringing us the 52 machine of Johansson just going up a little bit wide to let these leaders through. And they're getting certainly closer and closer down this front straightaway. Looking at the lap times, though, they're all pretty close, within about a tenth of a second.
Absolutely, and meanwhile in the front, Ericsson just taking advantage of the traffic, and I think Ericsson couldn't get the longer straw in comparison to Ericsson. Now the gap widened to nearly 3 seconds. Not 3 seconds yet, but I think it's going to be in a short amount of laps. And this race, I think, is barred a very chaotic thing or something of the nature. Me calling yellow flag or something of the nature. This pretty much settled in motion for Ericsson to win this first of the doubleheader races.
Absolutely, and I do actually quite like these doubleheaders that we've got so far this season. This is the second and final one. We had the doubleheader at Las Vegas for round 5 and 6, and it just adds something that little bit different. And the fact that there's full points given to each race as well really adds that extra need for the drivers to be fast, because it's basically a double points evening. And you can really change your course of the championship if you can nick that extra victory as well. That's always a really good one. As we're looking at Johan Larsson here, of course, for a little bit. And I've just realised Dane's note at the bottom. Reverse pole, of course, in P20. He's looking good to hold on to that one. He's got a bit of a gap in behind with 8 to go. That could be a big jump there for the 57. Taking my race number that I like, 57. But he's using it and he's putting it to good work.
I'm the number 37, therefore I got Ericsson has got me. And I think he has been somewhat of a dominant driver this championship, and therefore there does show why number 37 is the best number.
Well, who else is it 37? Is it Johan Mir?
Yes.
GP. Yes, so that's working out well. Another world champion, and of course Ericsson winning the Formula 4 series that we did just before Christmas. So he's on a good run, so it's not too bad of a number choice to have, as Ericsson leads the way by over 3 seconds now. So stayed at 1.5 for a long time, but it's now gone up to over 3 seconds. He's really looking good, but Lorenzo is going to be down in P20 when we get to that second race. So I wonder how difficult that's going to be for him to jump back up into the top positions.
Quite difficult. I think it eases up for the job for him when the race starts, because everything is going to be quite chaotic and the opportunities will open up more naturally from the number 24. But I think once the race goes on, I'm gonna be quite bold if he's not within the top 10 by, I would say, at the end of the what would be lap 30 or something like that, then we can start thinking of maybe we can see a different winner coming out from that inverted top 20.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough fight, that is for sure. But he's got just 2 and a bit laps to go. until he can take victory. He's done such a good job from that pole position, and he's looking to continue on. And it's so fun in these styles of races where it's such a short track, as the name suggests, and there's only so much difference that you can do in theory, but there seems to always be a driver or two that just stands out above the rest, and they just find that extra tenth of a second a lap that they can do. And he's actually looking at, I think, getting the fastest lap of the race as well, with a 19.49 earlier on, so doing a good job. We're on to the final lap, and the number 24, who already has a race victory this season, is going to be taking another for the first race of the evening. The number 21 4Z Sports driver of Eracingligan is going to be coming around the final corner to win here the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge, and he takes the first race victory, and that is going to boost his championship hopes, and absolutely, because he joins a number of other drivers on 2 wins, so that is good, because he was behind there unfortunately, but is now taking that one up. And of course, teammate Jesper Eriksson coming in behind, Linus Brustrom getting on the podium. That is going to be a fun battle to see those 3 drivers go back. And of course, the top 20 is reversed, with Johan Larsson finishing in P20, and he'll be starting from the reverse grid pole. But while the drivers get ready and they warm themselves up to go racing once again for the second race of the evening, we'll take a few messages from our partners.
Behöver du en bil? MABI Hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. MABI Hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
And welcome back to North Wilkes, and of course the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge. We just had the first race of the evening, which was of course won by Alexander Aronson, taking his second race victory of the season, and that is going to boost his championship hopes a lot. Well, of course, taking the stage victory as well, that was maximum points, but we still have another race to go this evening as we return to the very famous short track here in North Wilkes. Here is your full results though after 75 laps. It was Aronson getting the fastest lap on lap 2 as we are at very hot temperatures, but he won in the end from Jesper Eriksson. Linus Brustrom came in third place with Blixt and Gunnarsson rounding out your top 5. Haflidsson, Bohlin, Solo, Holmer and Helmbro round out your top 10. Just showing you how all the top drivers keep themselves up towards the front, but only 12 drivers are on the lead lap in the end, with Eriksson and Orman just 20 seconds behind inside your top 12. Salander, Nyholm, Uven and Schott inside your top 16, with Kenneth Tier making up a load of places inside your top 17. Borgman, Holmbaum and Johan Larsson round out your top 20, and of course top 20 inverted for the second race, so Larsson will be on that pole position. The drivers to miss out are Scherp, Bratberg, Bjorström, Johansson, Allard lap down, and then Skoglund, who unfortunately had the only crash of the race, 72 laps down, will be starting from the back of the grid. But of course it is myself, Cameron Roger, got Lorenzo Bonda alongside me in the commentary box. And Lorenzo, I guess that race was kind of what we expected to see, but now with the invert, it's going to be a lot harder for those drivers up the front.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%. It's going to be way more difficult. I think the drivers are going to be in for a world of pain. I think this is going to be more yellow flag than anything else. We haven't seen yellow flags this first run. So we expect race 2 stage at 65 laps here, Cam. But like I said before, I think this is going to be more of a attrition-based race than anything else, especially for those who are outside of the top 20. Trying to come back into the top 10 and having those lead points towards race 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tough one for these guys. There's just 30 seconds left in the warm-up. 135 laps coming your way, stage at lap 65. And I think, for those drivers a little bit further down, the strategy of how they manage the tyres in this race is probably going to be a lot more important than just the raw pace, because we did see there's quite a big drop off and drivers losing a lot of time at the end of the race there.
Yeah, not only the tires is going to be we saw a major drop off, but I think they're going to be thinking about a different strategy of going to 2 tires whenever they come into their second pit stop. And try to cut some time back or do something that would be different depending on the circumstances how the race goes. But other than that, we'll see how the second race will go out in a little bit.
Yeah, 135 laps, but of course with just 20 seconds a lap, it's going to go by very, very quickly indeed. Johan Larsson is on the pole position with Cedric Holmbaum alongside him on that front row. Marcus Hogman and Kenneth Tier get inside your top 4 with Håkan Schott and Tony Uvenen rounding out your top 6, and of course top 20 invert out of top 26 drivers. It's a big invert. Nyholm and Salander inside your top 28. The Orkentech drivers with their retro paint schemes from the Cars movie is Anton Orman there inside your top 9 as well. Robert Eriksson came up into 10th place. Then we'll let load of the other drivers roll their way through, and of course we get to P20 when we saw Arvidsson there already in that P20 winning that first race. It's going to be a lot more difficult in this race. It's longer, but for those drivers coming through the pack, it's going to be quite hard to jump up 19 places to get back up towards the front. It's certainly a more difficult one for them, but Lorenzo, that is really what we like to see.
Oh, we like always a certain amount of drama. Of course, they're not going to like that drama on the track, but for us in the broadcast booth is always going to be important. I think there are some drivers that we haven't talked about way too much, but had some really good pace throughout the beginning of the mid stint of the race. After the stage was actually set, like we can watch for maybe Hagman, maybe Salander. Ullman might be a guy that we might be looking towards whenever we get this green flag. So looking for the second race in a short few seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one for these drivers. It's hot out there, and it is a lot of laps. It might be short laps, but it's still a lot of times that you have to go around, and that always makes the job a little bit more difficult for the drivers. Of course, we've got plenty of top-level drivers here, but the iRating of a couple of the drivers, of course, with this invert, might be a little bit lower. Larson has got 1.4k. Holmbaum's got 1.7. So, of course, a little bit lower, maybe not so used to running up towards the front of a league like this. We'll have to see how they hold on to those positions up towards the front. But, of course, all but 2 in this race are A-licensed drivers. So they definitely know what they're doing in that regard. And as we come around the final corner, it's going to be race 2 of the evening. The MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge gets underway once again here at North Wilkes. And what a start it was by Larson up the inside there, but he breaks very early. That backs everyone up there. Coming through turn 1 and 2, that makes it a bit of a difficult job for the number 10 on the outside to try and hold on as we come down in towards turn 3, pushing way harder on that outside line, trying to take the speed, take the lead away from the number 57, but it looks like Larson can hold on.
Absolutely, and now things get more interesting because right at the back you can see for P6 and 5 and 6 Schott and Novinen, just nearly having some context. Now Holbom is going to start to run away a little bit and bringing Tier along with them on the outside line, but Larson's going to have that advantage and nearly 3 wide coming out of the backstretch of that whole field for P4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Larson definitely not quite as confident on the brakes on that inside line. So Holmbohm has absolutely stormed off into the lead. As you say, Tier following him through. I think Harbin's got through as well inside your top three so far. But let's look back. Let's see where your leaders are getting themselves up. There they are in that mid pack. They try and work their way through. There's Aronson. He's actually dropped down or kept his place, but unfortunately he's got Sherp on his inside line. This is going to be, look at all the cars up ahead of him. It's going to be so difficult to get back up towards the front. We're already seeing Salander up beside the top 10. Not Marcus Ericsson. Ericsson is trying to get inside the inside line, but someone has gone for a spin there. That might be Ericsson actually dropping down the way. Unfortunately, yes, it is. And that is Rob Ericsson, I believe, going around, spinning around, and that's going to be very difficult. We do stay under green flag, though, so he's got back going very quickly.
I got it back real quickly. Meanwhile, just taking a quick look through the field, see who actually moved out and up in the most. I think might be the fact of, Ericsson having a little bit of an issue. And other than that, I think the biggest gainer might be, trying to look where Ericsson is, still stuck in P19.
Hawkins Shots had an issue somewhere, but there it was, bit of a check-up, 3 wide situation. And on the inside line there, just Ericsson getting a bit of a bump. And unfortunately, maybe just slightly touching the wall there as well. So potentially a bit of damage in that, and unfortunately losing out a few places. As we definitely saw someone else drop down quite a few places. I see Hawkins Shot has gone back to pit road. Oliver Wallen's had a bit of an issue as well. So definitely a bit more carnage here at the start of this race. As we're seeing your pole position driver Larson is dropped down in towards 5th place. Uvenen's got past him, and now potentially another one. Nieholm, the 58 machine, has got past. As this is a huge send on the inside there from Salander. And Salander, he was the one who was actually involved in that contact a little bit earlier with Robert Ericsson. We're almost 3 wide on the exit of turn 4. Is on the outside line there. Anton Orman in the 42 machine trying to go all the way around the outside of the 57. He's going to have to really push it on the outside line, and he should be able to get past. Larson is kept on the inside line, but he's not keeping the speed going.
Yeah, he's not, but I think what makes everything more interesting in this race here, Cam, as we look into 3 wide situation, there's some contact there for the number 72 goes around, and unfortunately losing a lot of spots. Oliver Bohlin right there comes back into the track, fortunately, as we see 3 more wide. And who's that losing a lot of spots? Is that Larson without the front bumper?
It might just have been, as we're getting 3 wide on the exit of turn 4.
Oh my
Helmbro on the inside, the number 1 machine of Gunnarsson on the outside is Larson, bit of contact on the inside, the 81. Can they hold on to it? I think they do. That is Havlidison. He hasn't been up there so far in that first race, but he's trying to come through in this second, and that was almost a bit of a spin. He's now up the inside once more of Larson. As I think that's Brewstrom on the inside, so Larson is just going backwards and backwards in this race. Unfortunately, he's lost a bit of momentum as each driver starts to get past. A bit harder to get back going, but he's certainly dropping outside of the top 10 now.
Yeah, he drops, and I think that's going to be a little bit more problematic for him to, come closer and closer towards that field. Meanwhile, everybody getting racy in this mid-pack. We haven't seen this in race 1, right, at all. As we see a car spun around, this might be the first yellow flag.
Oh, he saved it, but the yellow does come out on lap 13 and 135. That is Larson, your pole position driver, who continues going, but we go for the first caution of the day. We didn't get it in the first race in the 75 laps, but now after lap 13 we go under caution. It just shows you, Lorenzo, doesn't it, just these tiny bits of contact, relatively speaking, can really push the car offline, and you're so on the limit, it's just quite difficult to save and get the car all under control again.
Yeah, but fortunately, because this is not a high-speed track like you would get whenever we go like to Pocono and Talladega in the next rounds, it makes things more easy. I think you can kind of keep the car outside of the wall, and fortunately, the number 57 managed to do that. Larson managed to actually keep this car alive, but because of everybody being closer together in the track, I think that's what caused the yellow flag to be triggered for the first time ever in this race.
Yeah, definitely. It's in some ways easier and some ways harder on these short tracks. But I wonder, I mean, obviously no one's coming into the pit lane. We're a bit early for that. But I wonder how this is going to affect things a little bit later on. Let's see a bit of a replay, though, as we come in towards turn number 1. Look how close these drivers are to each other. Just getting a bit of a hit from the back. Was that the 37 there? And it wasn't loads, but it was enough to push him and get about 6-7 drivers going up the inside. So it's definitely a tough situation there But Larson, Lorenzo's been really struggling, hasn't he?
Yes, but I think that's the nature of the track, you know, especially with this more frantic restart, because everybody's just trying to push together, and those who are not more costumed, you know, or used to push the car already on the early stint and try to manage the best of capabilities. The tires, whenever they go into these high pressure situations and frantic starts and restarts, just makes things more difficult. I think we're gonna line up maybe in the next lap the cars around, and like I said, Hagman, a car that we should be looking for in this race. I think this is one to look. He was kind of quiet at the first race. I think this second race he can kind of make an impact on everybody else and maybe get the first win.
And here we are on board with the 95 there of Eric Blixt. It looks like he potentially was the one with the contact. There's a 37 on the inside. Coming in towards now was 37 there, just pushing him around, and actually the 95 helped to push him back the right way. To be honest, that probably helped with that one, as Hogman is definitely keen to get going past the pace truck. Has to slow back down once more. Is that us getting back to side by side potentially? That is what we want to see as the drivers line themselves up and they get ready to go back racing. 18 laps complete. 135 on the board. We got a stage at lap 65, but as ever, we continue racing and we stay under green flag, so that we are here for the long run for these 135 laps. But just being 5/8 of a mile, it is certainly a very short one. We got Hogman and Holmbaum on this front row. We got Kenneth T and Uvenen just in behind, and as we come out of the final corner, there's a huge jump there by the 12 machine. Kenneth T has followed in through, and there's a bit of a sleeping on the outside line there from the number 10, who drops into third place, but a lot of ground has been lost already. He's in the background, almost 3 wide for a moment, as into the wall goes Uvenen. Might have got a bit of a push there from Ullman as well, as I think as Helmber also riding the wall coming into turn 3.
Yeah, and 3 wide form right in the back of Ullman. You can see right there between the number 58, 77, and 140. Sylvan Salander trying to make that overtake fall, tucked back into his line. And I think the content might have been also Ullman coming into the outside of this, it's the turn number 2. But is this going to be one of those tracks that yellow breeds yellows? Because it is short track, and here we go.
It might just be Nihong having a huge slide coming off 4, goes to the inside wall. I think he did avoid the wall, but unfortunately is going to have to rejoin in. No yellow, of course, but certainly so many positions lost. But actually, no, the yellow does come out. But, that's because the further issues happen. Ullman has got involved with also, is that potentially Dan Solo? I think it might be in the 13 machine. They've had issues, but that was already on the entry of turn number 3. So contact very early.
Yeah, looking forward to see what happened over there between Solo and I think maybe Ullman that got involved and just triggering the second yellow. But we look at the restart cam. Everything looked to be more frantic than anything else. As we're going to look. Is that Ullman struggling to maintain car straight?
Yeah, getting turned into the wall. Uvenen was just on the outside. We saw that already a lap before on the restart. Uvenen almost pushing the 42 up. He does a similar line the next time around, but unfortunately the 42 being slower just got spun around, and that is going to be a tricky one to come back for. But that does bring out the next caution as the drivers have to line up once more.
Everybody is going to line up once more, and I think this time by we might be able to see the whole field coming into for their first pit stop of this race.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Of course, the first caution was a bit too early, but we'll have to see how that works out, as I believe this is the 13 of Solo. Coming down the back straights, the issue has already happened. He lifted off very, very early, just about avoids the 42, but unfortunately there's a car on his inside, so he couldn't fully avoid and goes around for a bit of a half spin. It's a bit unfortunate there, actually, for him. So hopefully I have to get the car back going just about. Took a long, long time, lost a lot of positions.
Yeah, but fortunately I think the yellow flag was already triggered by then, so those positions he can basically tuck back. That's the unfortunate part. Nobody coming into the pit lane. The only ones that came, I think, were within that first restart or the first yellow flag. That was, I think, Skoglund, Vollin, and also Allard. And Ericsson as well. There's a few other drivers, for example, Solon, Omen, and Schott have come in, but they had to come in due to the issues, and the tires already being burnt out, so it makes a little bit of a sense. But go ahead.
Well, I just say, yeah, none of the leaders coming in, so they are obviously in it for the long run.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have specific data on the fuel. I mean, I don't know. Can we do the full 135 laps? Not quite too sure on that, but certainly the tires won't. So I guess it depends then. Maybe are they trying to do it just on a one stop? In which case, it is too early to come in for now, which would make sense, but certainly going to be a bit of an interesting one. But as you say, Lorenzo, cautions breed cautions, but looks like we're going to be going back racing once more. The second caution of the day is coming to an end, and Hogman on that inside line, Kenneth Tier on the outside. Hogman got a really good jump last time around, was really able to control the pace as he wanted to keep that lead in towards turn number 1. What is Kenneth Tier going to do? Certainly seems to be a big advantage on the inside line here. Let's see what he can do, but the MABI Hyrbilar short track challenge is going to get underway once more. Marcus Hogman takes us underway for Force Esports. His teammate in the background couldn't get going once more as he did on that previous restart, but look who is absolutely flying in. There's the 81 machine of Haflinson as he gets the run down in towards turn number 3. He gets up the inside of Kenneth Tier and takes that second place.
Yeah, and he basically solidified the position. Now he's going to be on the hunt of Hogman into the next lap. Already looking towards the inside is Haflinson, and I think he's going to be able to do with the run head he has massively on the inside of the number 12, and 81 to the lead in a short few moments.
Yeah, I think that's a small lockup on the inside, but can he make it down? Yes, he can. So he's got the 12 on his outside, down the short front straight away. The 81 here looking very aggressive on this second restart of the day. Coming up that inside line, just gets inches and inches ahead. Can he just squeeze up to keep that lead eventually? Yes, he can, but the 12 is still fighting this. It's not completely done, but the 81 machine finally makes that move. Is in the background. Kenneth here goes way wide. A couple of drivers come up his inside already. Jesper Eriksson up into that 4th place, making some good moves after a second place finish in that opening race of the day, and already up into 4th.
Yeah, that's a really good run from Eriksson, taking advantage of the top 20 invert positions and seeing already really good strides moving forward. The key thing is now for Haflinson, he needs to solidify everything. He has only one win in the season so far, just like Eriksson had only one season to separate apart, and another yellow flag.
Yep, third caution comes out. The 111 of Anton Bratberg has gone around. That's down the front straightaway, so potentially getting turned, coming off 4. And we definitely are seeing that amazing term there of cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, and this is going to be one of those things that it's going to be quite complicated. Looks like he had some small contact maybe coming outside of the corner that kind of helped him a little bit. The tires weren't looking too bright from the 111, but I think the contact, a potential contact, assisted him on going around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough track out there for these drivers, but they'll have to line up behind the safety car once more, the pace truck, I should say, and re-go. We still got 100 laps to go as drivers do come into the pit stop this time around.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see a few drivers coming in this time, but as everybody else just stuck under Benny the pace car for the time being, and it's going to be quite interesting how they negotiate moving forward with this third restart of the race, where the tires are still looking good. We just saw the number 42 go pass by, and being the lucky dog, you always get that position back before any kind of a wave around prior to the race restart. While we look towards the replay on the contact that spun the 111 around, cannot make who that driver was, but from what it looked to be maybe Sherp, that not Sherp, I was gonna say Allard them probably made the contact with them. Other than that, it's just slightly unfortunate. Everybody else just stuck being back on one another, and the short track nature of yellows turning to yellows, and another car spun around that looked like to be the number 72 of Bohlin spun around again.
Yeah, tricky, really tricky out there for these drivers, and you just have one little checkup like that. Unfortunately, the car's just coming behind you, and there's just no time to react. So that's a bit of an unlucky situation, and it does bring out the third caution of the day, with Haflidsson leading the way. Hogman, Ericsson, Holmbom in behind. Kenneth Tier keeping himself up inside the top 5. And where are some other drivers to mention? Ericsson is down in P11, so he's already made up quite a few places so far. So yeah, not too bad of a day for those drivers, but certainly very, very difficult for the likes of Johan Larsson as well, dropping down to P18, as it's certainly going to be a little bit more of a difficult one there. As the drivers go side by side, so we're going to go back to green flag racing as we have just entered the final 100 laps of the race. Third caution of the day. How many are we going to get? I think the record this season is 8. Can't remember which race it was, but I think it was 8 so far is the most that we've got. We'll have to see if that is going to continue itself. Of course, the laps go by very quickly when we get the green flag racing, though, and we are still expecting pit stops from all of these drivers between now and the end of the race. Coming out to the final corner, though, is going to be the 81 and Michael Haflidsson, who gets us going once more as the green flag comes out. A much better start from that second row of Jesper Eriksson up the inside. Might be able to get his teammate of Marcus Hogman on the inside. Marcus holds it around the outside, though, as Kenneth Tier is defending up the in behind. Actually, it's not defending. He's getting that place up in towards P4. He gets Holmbom on that restart. Holmbom sleeping. And is up the inside. Bit of contact between the two leaders, but Haflidsson holds on.
Yeah, and Ericsson had to back away, and nearly seen that he was going to basically pit maneuver the number 81 around, and could have triggered already our 4th yellow flag off this race. But so far, 37 looked aggressive out of the gates, but now just trying to find that opening while the car skids around on turn number 4.
And this is really big. Of course, Ericsson starting this race down on the 9th row and is now up towards the front, getting in towards the wall. I think it was Kenneth Tier in the background also getting up into the wall. As the drivers are starting to get aggressive on these restarts. 3 wide up the inside, the number 1, 4 wide actually just for a moment in time, as Kenneth Tier was still on the outside line, overlapped. But now it is actually Linus Brewstrom coming around that outside line. Tier's had a nightmare through turn number 1 and 2 as Holmbom's coming up the inside. These drivers are going crazy on this restart.
Yeah, completely crazy. Tier just running a very wide angle line, even though it's kind of like, is he saving tires? What is he doing? You can see Linus, the perspective right there, just trying to communicate his best to the teammates and everything else. Just trying to negotiate through the sea of cars, and maybe some frustration right there.
Or maybe to go back to yellow flag. I was just going to say, for the lead, there was a bit of a change. Ericsson, I think, finally got it. Not sure if it was before the yellow, but yeah, we go back to the pace truck, as this is going to be the story of the race, probably, Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny thing. Normally, you'd see as he drinks his water. Stay hydrated, people. It's very important. Meanwhile, I think it's going to be one of those things. Whenever you get the first yellow flag, it's short track. We know the nature of how these track goes. Everybody's trying to scramble for points, so it's tricky to negotiate a race like this with so little else to go forward. So I think this is going to be the full nature as we see the overtake prior to the yellow flag.
It slides up the inside, bit of contact, bit of door rubbing between the two. That was the initial look up the inside. I think that was already on the first couple of laps of that restart, but then we get the run off turn 2. Is that going to be enough? Was it the move? Not this time around, but certainly he was putting on the pressure and trying to get Haflidsson offline. But he's looking very good at this point in the race. You obviously know he's got a bit left in the tank if he can start pushing this much, as he gets closer once more this time around in turn 2. So this must have been the one where Kenneth Tier also got up into the wall on the outside line. So probably just another lap or so to go. But you could really see the 37 has got the pace.
Absolutely, and you can see the contact just on outside of the frame here on the picture-in-picture screen between that 4 wide, and you're gonna see now. I think it isn't on this curve. It is on this curve that the number 37 starts to make the move and seal the deal for the lead spot. Oh, Margie Bargy right there. I like it.
Yeah, big hip check And almost again, a third time in towards turn 1. And that was certainly an aggressive overtake there from the 37 to take the lead. And that was awesome actually to see that continue as actually Havlicen goes up the inside in towards turn 3 and 4. And I think this is about the time where the caution is going to come out. So at some point he is going to have to back out. And yeah, there it goes. But that was a nice little replay of the few laps there on the restart. And that certainly shows you these guys, they're fighting for the top end of the championship. And they're going to keep on pushing each other to the limit.
Nice tussle. I'm not going to lie. Of course, this is stock car racing. This is not touring cars. So don't forget, people, this is stock cars. Even though they are resistant, they can take a hit. They're not like the STCC cars from the old days. So mind that. You still have a long race to go.
Yeah, don't want to be getting too much damage or anything, but as you say, Rubin's racing, and the more aggressive you are to your opponent, the more aggressive they are going to be back. So you have to pick your battles wisely. But of course, fighting for a championship, having a race victory, you know what you need to do. But of course, Jesper Eriksson gets us underway once more, and a huge jump coming in towards turn number 1 there is Kenneth Tier. He dropped down to P5 at one point, but he's looking at third place on the outside of Marcus Hagman with 2 wide in the background as well. Eriksson and his teammate Holmbom, as they continue in towards turn number 3 now. So drivers know that these restarts are good opportunities to make some positions. Everyone is so close together before they get into a bit of a single file formation. Kenneth Tier not giving up his hopes of that third place, trying to drop down, trying to squeeze Marcus Hagman, but not enough to get the overlap that time around. But in towards turn 3 this time, he should just about have it as long as he can get the nose down. But it's going to be a difficult one to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look towards Eriksson right now, in lap 48, he was struggling to climb up the field, but I think with his yellow flags and good placement, the number 24 is starting to make his run. And like I said before, if you are outside of the top 20, outside of the top 10, sorry, by lap 30 something, if we had a green flag run, this would have been concerning. But because of all the yellow flags here, Cam, I think aided the life out of the number 24 to be able to push more easily, as we have another yellow flag, 5th one of the day. Here we go.
Oh, this is the cycle, unfortunately, that you get into when you get these restarts. Everyone's close together, and then it causes another crash. So you go to a caution, then again it restarts. Everyone's close together, and you get a crash. And it's until we get a bit more of a calm period, maybe after some tyre changes for some of the lead runners, and we get some fresh grip. This is just going to be a bit more of a difficult situation. We do have a stage at lap 65, but as ever, that is just generally lap 65. So whether we're under caution, whether we're green flag, doesn't matter. That is when the stage gets called. Eriksson won it in the first race. Let's see who's going to win it in the second race. Coming in towards, there's already a bit of a spin off the exit turn 4, and then just a crash on the main straight. That is a weird one. The 83 coming down into the 13 halfway down the straight.
Awkward. We've seen the same thing between Eriksson and Havlicen, and nothing has happened. But this contact, I think, looked to be more of sturdy contact between two drivers rather than the more light bumps that Eriksson and Havlicen provided a few laps ago.
Yeah, that was... collisions like that are always quite frustrating, because if he was slightly further alongside, they wouldn't have spun him into the wall. It's just when you always catch just the back edge of the car, so the back tyre, it goes around, oh yeah, he just got a bit of a loose rear end there coming off turn 4, and unfortunately just needed that extra half car width. But yeah, if he hit more to the passenger door, I know there's not doors there, but that sort of area of the car, he probably would have been able to hold it. But when you hit it so far back, it's just like a big pendulum. You just swing the rear of the car around, and unfortunately the 13 ending around, already having a spin or so today. So we've got a couple of drivers in the pit lane. We've got Allard, Solo, Hawk and Shot as well, all trying to get some repairs under this caution.
Yeah, absolutely. And still a lot of people haven't pitted, right? You still, only those that got involved need to crash it. So lap 54 out of 135, I think if there's one thing that it looks like to be the way that it's going with this race, for those who haven't pitted, they're going for the one stop. I think this race has become one stop for everybody else, except for those who pitted, like Bohlin, Larson, Anton Ullman. Homer and those behind them. So this makes the dynamic of this race very interesting to move on towards whenever we get our 5th restart of this race.
I wonder how this is going to look. 39 minutes left remaining. I do think, well, according to our live timing anyway, we've got about 26 minutes, and that is including the fact that we've had cautions and stuff. It has worked out that average pace. So I think we should be good on the timing as it stands, but you never know if we get more and more cautions. And yeah, I do agree on your point about being the one stop for everyone. We go side by side and we come back to green flag racing for another time this race. The short track style racing is certainly giving us a very entertaining race, and when you get these battles it is difficult. As 37 gets underway once more, Haflinson is going to have to try very hard in behind, but I'm looking forward to see this battle reigniting between the two championship contenders. Lee's Bruce going to spin in the background. Yeah, someone's gone around in the exit of turn 2 to the inside there. More spinners. The 95 of Blix actually goes around. There's the 84 of Uvenon was the one to spin around, but I think it was Blix. Yeah, he also went around. So that's a big shame for second place man in the championship. He's gone all the way to the back of the line.
Yeah, gone all the way. I think everything was caused because of, the number 84 being spun around by Ovenen. I think just ensued the whole chaos. I'm looking forward to see who actually spun Ovenen. I think after that, just, was just trying to cars trying to deviate from one another, and does the Blix, I think, found himself right in the middle of, of the mix of being spun around as well.
Let's have a look at this on... Yes, yeah, so Uvenon was hit around and then just catching the rear. Yeah, just catching the rear corner of the 95. Did anyone else collect him? Yes, someone there. I think it's one of the superior cars on the inside there. Maybe the 111 of Bratberg or Sherp. No, it was 111 there. Unfortunately, just having a bit of an issue and not able to stop in time. So some of the big names really getting involved. But guess who's back up to the front? Ericsson always seems to find his way there. Sneaky little driver.
Yeah, I'm looking in the replay again. Holmberg makes the contact, spuns the 84 around, and does spins the 95 for, I think, the 11 of Shep comes in around and makes the tag. Yep, so a little bit unfortunate, but it was a slow motion contact. I don't think there's going to be a lot of damage within the quarter panel of Blix right there.
Yeah, not a lot of damage to the car, but a lot of damage to his position, which is a bit of a difficult one. Or was it yellow already out, and was he gifted that position back? Just trying to see where he is in the order, but certainly a more difficult situation for him. No, he's actually in the pit lane, is Eric Blix, so definitely dropping further back down. As I said, lap 65 is the caution. Is the stage, and we are under caution, so we might only get a lap or two before. Here is going to be the look of Sherp. Oh yeah, to be fair, there's not a lot he could have done there. He was trying to slow down, and just out of the smoke, you had a Rusty's entry right in front of you.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate that we couldn't see the sun, shiny on the faces of the drivers. I think that's the only downside I have to take this from it all, and the lack of cachows right in the middle of all this, mate.
Yes, it's been a slightly difficult race for a couple of these drivers. Here's Brewstrom, of course, on the outside of the second row as we come to this next restart. He, like Ericsson, and in some ways Hogman as well, they've all just been slowly getting themselves up towards the front over the course of the race. And we're going to go back to green flag racing on lap 62. So there's going to be 4 laps total until we get to the end of the stage. And it is looking good for Jesper Eriksson, because it seems like the inside line here is so much better on these restarts. You really get a huge jump as the green is already off turn 4. And as we go back to green flag racing, he does that restart. Hogman is sleeping though in behind. That's going to let Haflidsson come down and take that P2, and maybe even Brewstrom on the outside line might be able to get himself up into P3 as come down this back straight for another time of asking. Lap 62. Brewstrom on the outside, Hogman on the inside as they battle their way on this next restart.
And you can see Hagman already just trying to retain that P3 spot out of Brostrom. Brostrom trying to ride the outside, nearly making contact with the number 12, and so far surviving the ordeal. I saw Tier is still riding that outside, nearly clinging to the wall line. going to lane number 3 and surviving the ordeal so far. But dangerous line for the time moment. And Ericsson around.
Ericsson goes around. I think he saved it, but the caution does come out, and he has dropped down. That was on the entry of turn 1. Was that a solo mistake? Was there contact? I think Havlinsson was too far behind him maybe to make a push, but maybe Ericsson getting loose off turn 4. That is a rare mistake from your championship leader.
I smell contact. It looked like from the angle whenever I saw everybody catching, everybody was like contact from Havlinsson.
Oh,
yeah.
Exactly like, was it Solo a few laps ago when you just get a bad run off turn 4, but the cars come in behind with so much more speed. It's very interesting to see. Just a little bit of a moment off turn 4 really causes a huge amount of overspeed, and enough to spin the 37 around, and he's down in 9th place, and that is a huge moment with your championship leaders. So Havlinsson, to be fair, was very close to him, but there's a bit of a gap there, half a car length, but the 37 getting a bit of a slide on, and it was enough that the 81 just couldn't get that slowed down. Bit of contact as well, so the front end is going to feel a little bit different there for the 37.
And it just makes this close racing so more difficult than it is. I'm wondering how frustrating Ericsson might be with this, half spin, full spin that was caused by Havlinsson. You can see, but his car gets loose as well. So this was not like a voluntary spin from the number 81 on the number 37. Both cars lost a lot of control. It's just the number 81 had more momentum, trying to keep himself in the track with the grip than the number 37 did.
Absolutely, and in the midst of all that, we did just go over the stage here for the second race of the evening as well. So by virtue of hitting the back of the 37, he's actually going to take the stage victory there for Michael Havlinsson. Hallman will get second place, Broström, Aronsson inside your top 4. Bohlin, Gunnarsson, Tyr, Holmboom, Ericsson and Nyholm will get your top 10. So for Ericsson, that is some crucial missed playoff points, and of course not really the fault of Havlinsson, to be honest. That's just the way racing goes sometimes, and it was at a perfect time to secure those extra 10 points. So we are looking at a very interesting run between now and the playoffs that are happening. Of course, this is round 13, so just 2 more races. We go to Pocono in 2 weeks' time. Then 2 weeks after that, we go to Talladega. So 2 of the big super speedways to finish the regular season. It's going to be a very interesting one. And then, of course, we start the playoffs. Round of 15 at Chicagoland and Richmond. And then we go to the round of 10 with Michigan, Dover, before the final of the season and the championship race at Homestead, Miami on the 9th of May. Havlinsson having just 1 win to his name. He'll be really hoping to get another victory here as we go back side by side. It's going to be lap 70 when we go under green flag racing. So over half the race distance done now. And the drivers will hopefully reduce the amount of cautions. I think we're up to 6 so far this race.
Yes.
If we get another 6, of course, we might start going in towards the time limit. But now the pace truck is going to come in. The 81 machine is going to have the inside line. The 71 follows through. And then you've got 2 Force Esports drivers on that outside line. Marcus Hagman doesn't get the best run. So Linus Broström is going to be up the inside there for P number 2, in turn number 2, as Hagman holds it around that outside line. Will it be enough momentum down this back straight away, or is Linus Broström going to keep it up the inside line? All this does is let the 81 machine go off, and it looks like the inside line is very crucial around here. Even Aronsson has dropped down. Oh no, in the background though, I think that's Holmboom in the number 10 machine has gone around, and as we hit lap 71, we go back to caution flag as Dan Holmer was involved in that as well, almost hitting the pit wall.
I think he hit the pit wall, but it wasn't voluntary. I think he was trying to break the car and avoid everything. And he got pinched out. I'm really looking on the replay. Here's Benny coming out with a pace car, and I think this is Homer's perspective from what it looks like. Seeing the contact, you can see Holmboom just being spun around. I think there's another car spun around, and he got pinched into the arm. Oh my God! Nothing that I can say.
Yeah, that's just so unlucky there for Holmer. Yeah. He was pushed literally in line with that pit wall. Yeah, gonna have to come back in. That is a big shame for your 2-time race winner so far this season. A few drivers coming down. I think that's Kenneth Tyr in the background, Bohlin as well, also choosing to come in. as we work our way through under this caution period, as a few drivers there choosing to get some fuel and tyres towards the end. We are expecting some of these top drivers to come in at some point, but of course they're going to stay out as late as possible and maybe even try and get to the end, I guess. But we do know that the tyres are going to fall off massively. But Lorenzo, we've had so many cautions, we're barely using the tyres.
Yeah, it's kind of like we have small pockets of run. It's like, oh, we have a green flag. 3 laps later, we have a yellow flag. Oh, we have a green flag. 2 laps later, you have a yellow flag. Oh, we have a green flag. 1 turn later, we have a yellow flag. So it's like if you want to talk about tire efficiency, they prove the yellow flags is the best tire efficiency for any driver, even though the laps are going to be completely slow. And I think at this case, can we make a statement that Benny, the pace car, might be the leader of this race with so many laps that he drove?
I mean, it's been done before. It certainly has been done before with the pace car leading the most laps of the race. But yeah, we are a bit more info thanks to those. Obviously, fuel shouldn't actually be a problem with the amount of cautions that we've had. Therefore, it's just a game of, do you want new tyres? We've seen this a couple of times this season. I think it was back at Kansas, maybe. Second, third race of the season. Jesper Eriksson put on fresh tyres, and in only, I think it was about a 12-lap dash at the end, was able to get up on those fresh tyres. And it'll be the same here. If you've done 120 laps on tyres, people stay out, you go in for fresh tyres, then of course you're going to have so much more grip. So that might be something to do and something to look at when we get to the end of the race and potentially more cautions. But we go back to green flag racing once more in a lap or so's time. The 81 machine is going to be on the inside line there. Linus Brustrom is going to be on the outside line, and it really seems outside line isn't going to be good. So Hogman on the inside, we're looking to take back that second place.
Yeah, but it is good for you to if you can hold that outside line for the entry of this race. You know, the restart lap. For the first 2 corners, you can kind of tuck into the leader line. So let's see how Brostrom will negotiate whenever we get the green flag in about 1 turn.
Yeah, absolutely. The pace truck will come in, the drivers will close up, and we'll be looking to get another restart underway. Lap 77 is going to be, and look at the start from the 81. That is a huge jump as Linus Brustrom on that outside line there has to do the hard work to try and hold on to that second place as Araton in the 24 is trying to push him through up past his Forza Esports teammate Hogman, potentially losing 2 places here, as we're also seeing in the background Jesper Eriksson trying to go round the outside of Gunnarsson in the number 1 machine, and it looks like he's got an amazing run there off turn 4 and should hopefully just be able to hold it down the inside of turn number 2, and he has been able to complete that as the 24 is still having to work hard to get past his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, and also the number 37 having a really good run on this. Restart another yellow flag.
Yeah, that is
and
just the way it goes. The 13 is involved again, and the 57 of Larson. These drivers have been up towards the front, but unfortunately they've gone down, and can't quite see who that white machine is, but another car spun around as well. So
Johansson,
these cautions. Maybe? Oh yes, you might be right there. The 52, as these drivers really proving that saying of cautions breed cautions. But we are lap 80 now. In just a few hundred feet time, which means we have got 55 laps to go. So coming up fairly soon to 2/3 completed in the race. Let's see how this happened though.
Every game began of 1, 4 wide, 5 wide. They proved this is real. Okay. And then the 83 spins everybody around. But there was a car spun around already. Would like to be Blackstone solo?
Yeah, potentially, as Larson there spun in turn 2, or turn 1 and turn 3 as well. That was a half a lap incident for Larson there as he goes into the pit lane. Allard as well. Joining down there. Let's see this. Yeah, you're right. It's about 5 wide for a couple of tenths of a second there. The 58, that's Nyholm, swapping around the 13. So the 13 getting involved in a few incidents today. Unfortunately for Dan Solo, he looked so good in our opening race of the season back at Daytona. Already at the 31st of August, quite a few months ago now, but it just hasn't quite been that. He is fourth place in the overall championship, though, but hasn't got a win, just like Linus Broström. And Linus is a lot closer today at getting that win.
The fortunate part is, I think, Solo might be secured on points already, right? Even though, and also you have a lot of base left for the playoffs. We can kind of unofficially seal that he's going to be for the playoffs for this first round of the playoffs, and Broström as well. So only a major tragedy like DNFs and things like that would prevent Solo from maybe attending the playoffs. But other than that, just not finding his stride, even though he had really good results this season, and already had a pole, nearly had a win. So it's kind of like just breaking into the victory mode is just not being able to find it.
Yeah, you are correct on that. He's looking pretty good, obviously, to get through to the playoffs anyway. He's not going to be at risk of dropping out of the top 15, but it's also when you get into the playoffs, you then want to have as many points and as many wins under your belt as you can to then really not have to worry too much in the top 15, round of 15. So, yeah, there's 23 minutes remaining. By my math, is about 17 laps of green flag racing. 17 minutes of green flag racing. So let's see how that one goes. We are getting very close to ending on the time limit. I believe it's only one race so far this season where we've had to do it, but it's certainly going to be an interesting one. We go back to green flag racing once more. Haflidsson from that front row gets a huge jump. Linus Broström once more on that outside line in P2 is going to just about keep it down as the 24 tries to chase him for that second place. We're too wide in the background as Ericsson and Hogman continue their battle in the Force Esports teammates. Ericsson there in P4. Hogman going a little bit wide actually, but it looks pretty clean up towards the front.
Yeah, I think we have a really good run so far. Meanwhile, the 83, from what it looks like, chirp into the pit lane. So, and maybe Skoglund and chirp into the pit lane. So something might have happened to their car. And I think this is part of the race that they do not have fast repairs. Remember, and this is we haven't mentioned they do have a fast repair for this longer race.
They certainly do, but I think a lot of drivers have used it already. To be honest, with the amount of contact that we've seen there, but. So making some noises because Ericsson was coming in very hot into turn 3 last lap round, but he was able to make that work as Blix did, despite some spins, is up into P10. So that definitely shows you that you just have to keep going in these races as there's Solander and the 140 machine coming in towards pit road. So definitely some green flag pit stops for these drivers. Interesting choice indeed, but we're seeing some aggressive driving start to come as the laps slowly work their way down. A little bit of contact maybe as Blix tries to get his nose up the inside of Ericsson, but not enough to overtake.
Yeah, not enough to overtake. I think he nearly made contact within the quarter panel. Slightly sliding into turn number 1 is the number 95, and the 95 actually holds on for another day and makes to the corner, and now one spot up into P9.
As in the background there's Peter Helmbro. He was a lap down at one point. He managed to get the lucky dog to come around under a caution, but of course there's been quite a few of them. And now it's in P11. So a great race coming for a two-time pole driver this season as there's Bjorn Broström in the Napa livery up the inside there of he's got Kenneth T. He's got the number 13 of Solo around the outside. Solo as well, despite all the issues, is only down there in inside the team position. So he's looking very good to come back from that one. Up into P17 now. Bjorn Broström, though, is struggling a little bit because Larson now is up the inside in the 57 machine. That should be job done as well, with the 41 being quite high. And your pole driver in this race now they're up into I think 18.
Yeah, meanwhile, you can see Broström and that's the 11 of Sherp. That is actually a back marker already being overlapped by everybody, but using the traffic to block the line near contact between Broström, and actually there's the contact between the 81 and Broström.
Yeah, the 81 has a bit of a slide there, and look at all the drivers coming through. So Broström takes the lead. Ariston Hogman inside your top 3. Ericsson, Gunnarsson, Orman also get past Haflidsson. So the driver on this restart, the pole driver on this restart, has dropped down into P number 7, and Blixt is also getting very close. There's so many drivers here up towards the front. As we get to 43 laps to go, the laps certainly get ticked off very quickly under these green flag racing conditions, and is certainly heating up as the drivers start to make some contact. They start to make some passes.
Yeah, and more interesting for me is the fact that Ullman, I think of all drivers, the one that have the better tires or would have the better tires on paper compared to everybody else. We're going to see the contact between Broström and the number 81 of Haflitzen coming to turn number 2, and just tuck his line, try to keep that on the inside, try to find a little bit of room. But Ruben is racing and they keep still going strong, and Haflitzen from P1 all the way down to P7.
Yeah, it does sort of pinch you on the exit of turn 1, just the way the track is shaped. But I mean, Broström, he had a car width down the inside there. Haflitzen did come down a little bit, so I don't think there's going to be too much to be looked at with that after the race. And it's just, when you start getting this close, start batting for the lead, these things do happen. We're coming up to some lap traffic as Broström is looking slightly more tense maybe than he has been in some other times we've looked at his webcam, but the 71 Bright Esports is leading the way. The 24 is starting to put on a lot of pressure with his teammate Ericsson behind. Yeah,
you can see Ericsson just trying to go for the double win right here and extend his victory for instead of 2 wins to 3 wins, and Broström doing a really good job hitting the number 24 at bay. But the problem is the traffic, I think, is, I would say, impeding or taking some performance out of the number 71 car. But Broström actually just keeping it really tight, just not breaking to the pressure for the time being.
Yeah, he's doing a great job to hold on to that. 24 hasn't really had a sniff. But we go back to caution. 38 laps remaining, and we get another caution. Larson involved. Kenneth Tears lost his front bumper. And couldn't quite see the other driver. Might be in Hawkins' shot, maybe. The 101 as well, although he does continue around as the pace truck tries to catch up. Around the outside, this is going to be, we've got Larson on the inside line. Is there going to be a bit of contact? Well, it was actually Nieholmer in the 58 machine, a bit of contact there. So all looking good at this stage. We come in towards turn 3. Is there going to be some contact, bit of a tap on the rear end? No, it looks all okay for now.
I think it is on the next lap.
Yeah, potentially. So that's Kenneth Tier in the 49, the blue machine. And always someone ahead. Holmbom, is that maybe? The number 10
that's
machine?
Holmbom, that they catch up and lock up everything.
We've seen it so many times. Out of turn 2, out of turn 4, if you can't get on the power, you just have no drive. And people come in behind so fast that they can't avoid contact. It's really more extreme here than I've noticed at some of the other tracks we've seen this season. 35 to go we're looking at now, and Broström is still leading the way, getting another sip of water. Stay hydrated, as Lorenzo Bonda is saying, and just closing off that water bottle as he gets himself ready for yet another restart.
Yeah. So it's... And I think we can start the predictions, right, of everybody coming into the pit lane. Are they good on fuel and things like that, right? We know they could get really long runs as the race went on by. And between us in the commentators booth and the broadcast booth, we already had predictions, coming from our producer, who said he's calling in a green-white checkered and no pit stops for those who haven't pitted.
Yeah, that's true. I think we've only had one race, maybe 2, where we've had green-white checkers. There's not too many this season, but with what we're seeing so far, we might just get into that situation, which is going to be very interesting with the tyres. Of course, most of these drivers up towards the front haven't stopped. We've had so many cautions. We've had so many, of these slow laps that you don't use the tyres, you don't use the fuel. They've been able to push it even further to not even think about pitting. But surely at some point someone might be able to come through on some faster tyres at the end. Will it be enough to get a race win though? Possibly not, which is why these top a lot are staying out, of course. A few drivers into the pit lane. Kenneth Tier Larson still getting some repairs. Salander as well. We saw him actually quite a few laps ago on the previous restart going in. Hawkins shot as well as 8 laps down in this race. We do have a DNF of Anton Bratberg, unfortunately in the 111 machine. As you come to some side-by-side, 33 laps remain, so it's going to be 32 at the line. And Linus Broström, for the first time this race, is going to take us away from the lead in the 71 machine. Ericsson is going to be up the inside of his teammate Ericsson as they continue to battle their way through. The 24 holding it on the outside line there. It's going to let Linus Broström go off a little bit by a car length or so. The 37 still holding up the inside there, trying to work his way through into second place and chase down another race victory. He's already got 5 of them so far this season, almost half of the races. Well, Ericsson is looking for his third. They continue side by side as the two teammates don't want to give this place up.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, in the lap before, there was a little bit of a moment of 3 wide. I think that was involving Blake Stoveden and maybe Haflitzen that were involved into that. And so far, they managed to get away unscathed, but things are looking hairy anywhere but outside of the top 5, going into the realms of top 10.
And this battle for P2 continues on side by side. It's crazy how not even an inch has changed since we got to that restart. 29 laps to go at the line. Broström still leading the way. And it's under sort of 10 minutes to go already with how short this track is going to be. And who's going to hold on? The 37 might finally have this place. Yeah, he can move up as Ericsson takes that in the 37 machine. Of course, Gunnarsson's not too far in behind these drivers, chasing them down. But who has the rear tyres to keep on pushing? We've seen quite a few struggling with the slip on the rear, not being able to get the traction down. And the longer we go in this race, the more those tyres are going to be worn. The laps are looking very fast, so back down after this restart, we're already into the 19s once more, so the pace is still there up towards the front. As in this mid-pack, there's Larson going very slow on the inside line.
Yeah, doesn't it look a little bit dangerous for Larson to be that inside line with everybody just going around him?
Oh, absolutely, because most people want to be there, right where we go. There's Holm, and now Holmer trying to go through as these guys are getting a bit sketchy.
They got slightly sketchy. Holman, I think, just had to yield the car off as nearly makes the contact, I think, with the number 11 of Shep this time by. And Sherp this time by. And unfortunately, everybody got away unscathed. But things looking, again, hairy, very hairy from top 10 to top 15.
As we're on to lap 110 of 135. So 25 laps remaining in this race. And of course, the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge has been. The first race was pretty much clean the whole way, just one crash, no caution. But in this second race, it has been pretty much all cautions and very little races. Oh, we go. Someone spins around there on that back straightaway. Surely that is going to call out a caution. Looks like we are continuing on, though. But there's definitely cars spun around there. The 83 has got back going, but caution free.
Caution free, and that's the number 83. From what it looks like to be, life playing me pieces. That's Jonas Skoglund that actually got spun around. Meanwhile, Solo just trying to fight back against the number 84 Ovinen and just having the upper edge coming into the inside angle, but doesn't have the momentum on the outside. And Ovinen just with a little bit of a second life as he's still trying to fight for. The top 10 is still highly contested, and I would say top 3, I think, is going to be staying the way that it is all the way to the end.
Yeah, potentially they're looking quite stable. But Solo, of course, one of the drivers having spins, he's on these fresher tyres and he's working his way through. So he might be, if we stay green to the end, he might be able to catch up a lot of these places. Let's see, there's the 83 losing the rear end off turn 2. Doesn't hit the wall. Oh, actually just does, unfortunately, in the end. Barely. And just having a tiny bit of damage on that rear right, but should be going through. But yes, Solo is only 4 seconds off the lead, but we do go back to caution with 20 laps remaining. And unfortunately, that's Larson, who, in the nicest way possible, possibly should have parked that car already, was really, really struggling. There's obviously a lot of damage already on that car from the previous contacts.
Absolutely. And looking forward to see if that was actually a voluntary stop coming into turn number 1, but other than that, brings with 10 of 20 laps to go here to end this race, Cam. So it's going to be basically the full sprint to the finish line whenever we get this green flag with about 16 to go. Looking for on the replay, light contact with the Sherp right there.
Just didn't have any traction, being sort of not loaded up, coming out the corner, being offline, and finally deciding to park the 57 machine, which is a bit of a shame from the driver starting on pole position in this second race. Of course, it was a invert 20 places. So a big number considering there's 26 starting this race. and Larson there getting to the front, but unfortunately just went backwards and backwards. We've got a lot of drivers down pit road as they try and take some repairs. And really, I do want to look out for Dan Solo on this next restart. There's going to be about 15 laps to go in the race. He's that green machine in the background. He's on the fresher tyres out of most of these drivers. He's going to have some pace. And I definitely think that he is going to be looking very, very fast indeed.
I think he will look very fast whenever we get this restart. Ericsson is attacking out of the gates. What impresses me about Ericsson is, despite the spin that he had with the Haflitzen about like 20 laps ago, it's still running really strong as we look towards the clock with about 18 laps, 17 laps to go. We have about, what, 5 minutes of green flag run over here in average. So I would say another yellow flag or 2 more yellow flags would go into time.
Yes, the lifetime is saying about 5.5 minutes remaining. So it's getting close, but we still have a few minutes in hand. So maybe, as you say, 1 or 2 more cautions, but that is all the drivers have if they want to finish under the lap count. And maybe, to be honest, for Brewstrom, he hasn't had a race victory this season. He probably wants this to stay caution till the end so he can take a victory. And the 2 drivers in behind, of course, Ericsson winning 5, Aronson winning 2. Gunnarsson actually doesn't have a race victory, has struggled a little bit this season. 4 top 5s though, but in terms of the race victories, hasn't necessarily been there. So it's a tough championship this, and the drivers really know what they're doing. So yeah, just the chances of winning go down ever more. But we go back to side by side. It's going to be 15 laps to go at the line, 20 seconds per lap. So only about 5 minutes of racing to go under green flag conditions. We've got the 71 on the inside, Bright Esports, Linus Brewstrom. The 37 on the outside, Jesper Eriksson, your championship leader for Forza Esports. And of course, we've got the number 1 and 24 who are hungry in behind as well. Then we have the 81 who was leading for so much of this race. The 12 as well, who's always been up there towards the front. But as we go back to green flag racing, is it for the final time? Let's find out. Brewstrom doesn't get the biggest jump that we've seen so far this race, as Ericsson is trying to hold it, almost trying to get a bit of an overlap on that outside line. The number 1 there of Gunnarsson is trying to get the 24 in towards turn number 3. He's going very wide. Actually, he's Haflitzen way up into the wall. He continues going, but maybe just a bit of a cold brakes there, braking too late into turn 3.
I think there might also have been contact with him and Omen just behind him, and thus causing that contact. A little bit of contact from Omen, looks like on the quarter panel on the rear, the right of the number 42. Meanwhile, everything's going to get heated up. Meanwhile, and also the number 1 looking for his first victory while still having the near victory at Las Vegas a few rounds ago. Actually, not Las Vegas, but Phoenix, where he nearly won against Jesper Eriksson.
Yeah, it's a hotly contested championship. Aronson there down the inside trying to hold on to that P3. But look at the Rusty's entry. The Alcantech car, the 95, he's coming up close on some fresher tyres. Solo's up into P8 as well. Those drivers on fresher tyres are going to be a factor if we stay green to the end of this race. Brewstrom and Ericsson battling in towards turn 3. This is how Ericsson got the lead from Haflitzen. Dived it down the inside of turn 3. Not this time around though, as they continue in this P1 and 2 formation. Aronson and Gunnarsson also having a huge battle in behind. I think Gunnarsson might have been able to get that position back up the inside of turn number 1, as he certainly does. But these tensions are certainly rising.
Certainly rising 100% as we have another yellow flag.
Almost. We are so close. 10 laps to go of the MABI Hyrbilar short track challenge. 6 minutes remaining. So I believe we should have enough time just about for this caution, and then to go back for one final burst of green flag running. But Lorenzo, it's a difficult racetrack when you get into this sort of position, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is just the worst, as I think Brewstrom is going to need all the water in Sweden to actually, stay calm, cool, and hydrated whenever you have Ericsson, Gunnarsson, and Aronson on your back, and it's with so little laps to go, and that's just the key. He's holding his line very well. He's not falling into the pressure of Ericsson. Ericsson, just found a few spots, tried to get a little bit racy. I thought he was actually going to go into like bump drafting outside of the corner on Brewstrom on the lap prior to the yellow flag here, Cam. But other than that, just really good racing so far with about 9 laps to go.
Yeah, this is quite stunning. He's got a lot of pressure because we know he has to absolutely nail this final restart. It's been pretty much 100% conversion rate from the pole position driver, of course, because the green goes on them. However, holding it after that, Ericsson, we saw him with the 81 of Hyrbilar when they battled for the lead in the mid part of this race. Elbows out. The 37 is not afraid to make some contact and have a bit of rubbing to try and get a race victory. And with just a few laps left in this race and a few minutes of the race, therefore, it's going to be very, very high pressure for Linus to hold on to. 8 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think we were looking at Linus right there. I was doing mouth reading as I have a PhD here.
In Swedish?
Yes. Yeah, he was praying to the Viking gods, Viking sim racing gods, rather, that he can stay in the lead of this race and not have like the bump to win from Ericsson with like 1 to go.
They have had some pretty respectable racing.
Yes.
And Jesper doesn't need to risk it all. He's already got 5 race wins. He's looking very good regarding that in terms of the championship. He hasn't really got anyone to challenge him, close to getting up to those 5 wins. So it's certainly going to be a tough choice. But we're coming across the line. I think we're going to be going on to lap 130. So there's going to be 5 laps to go in the race. Coming back to side by side. So it looks like it might be a 5-lap dash to the end. A couple of minutes remaining in the race. 3 minutes left on the clock. It is getting close. And Broström is just a few corners, a few braking zones away from taking his first race victory of the season. He's the highest driver in the championship without a race victory. And of course, being such a strong driver on short tracks, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he needs to do in his final few minutes of the race. And we come round for what we hope is the final restart of the race. 71 on the inside, 37 on the outside. Of course, a 24 and 1 in behind. They all want this race victory. And the number 71 takes us underway for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge here at North Wilkes for round 13, 14 of the season. And let's see how this one ends. Huge run there on towards the back straight for the number 1, but it wasn't quite enough. As actually on the outside line, the 24 is able to potentially get up into that 3rd place. 5 to go. It's going to be 4 at the line, and Broström still leads.
Yeah, so far so good for Broström, but there's a little bit of a dive coming from Ericsson. It's contact between them, but so far Broström lives.
And the 37 there, we literally what we were just saying, we know he's going to be aggressive in trying to make these overtakes, but Broström needs to be careful himself not to spin himself out. He needs to be looking in those mirrors, not turning in too much. Let's see this once again. 3 to go. The 37 not close enough this time around to try and get the move, but in behind, everyone's still pretty stable.
Everyone is still pretty stable. Oh, contact, and we have another yellow flag.
Oh, we go to caution with 2.5 laps remaining. And Broström is celebrating.
This is it, I think.
Yes, I think we're going to end under the pace car. And that means Broström, with 2 laps remaining in this race, was able to hold on. Ericsson gave him that one final look down the inside. But Broström was able to take what we think is going to be his first race victory of the season. 1.5 minutes remaining as well. So we wouldn't even have time for anything like a green-white checker. So it is going to be Broström taking the victory. Just needs to follow the pace truck around for a few more seconds, and he'll be taking victory of the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge. And he certainly had to work hard for it. He's been working all season long to try and get this win. We are into round 13 of the season. He wouldn't necessarily be a driver that you would say would go this long without a race victory, but sometimes that is how racing goes. And it looks like he's going to be coasting home to a victory.
Yeah, he won last season. I think it was due to actually have his win this season. So good on Linus. I think we can credit the fact that it also came, to talk to us. And I think we passed a good luck charm to him as well. He was looking to come to the victory lane, and he's getting that, a little bit of a trip to victory lane to celebrate his first win of the season.
Yes, as we are on to lap 135. We're actually on to lap 136, I think. But of course, we're under the caution, and the time is going to come to the end with just 10 seconds remaining on the clock. And are we going to be going back racing, or are we going to be finishing? I do believe we are going to be finishing, but when we get to this 0 minutes remaining, that should be the end of the race. Final lap comes on the board, and behind the pace truck, it is going to be the 71 Bright Esports driver of Linus Broström to take victory here. North Wilkes' second race of the night. And after a hard-fought race, he takes the victory there. And congratulations to him, because he certainly needed to work hard for it. Ericsson gave him a run for his money. Haflinsson led a lot of laps as well. Aronson was coming back through after that invert, but he was able to take that victory, and what a job it was.
What a job it was. I think that was hard fought, finding that right stride, knowing that this attrition-based race made things more interesting for Linus, as they're going to go one more time, and I think they're finishing now this time officially under the pace truck, as Barney the flagman will put up the checkered flag.
I mean, I'm hoping that this is it. We have called, but we have stayed under yellow. So, but the race timers end, and normally green my checker. Basically, there isn't enough time, but it does look like we are going side by side. So are we going to get... I think we're getting a 2-lap dash here to the end. After us calling it, it might not actually be it for Linus Broström. We thought it was the end. The timing says it's the final lap, but maybe we are going. So this is another final opportunity for the 37 to get a run. Is going to be just a 2-lap dash to the end, and the pace truck comes in, and Broström, after celebrating, has to get his head back in the game, and he does so with a restart. This is huge here for Broström as he tries to hold on to this lead. The 37 is going to do everything he can to dive it down the inside here. In the background, we're going side by side as well for that third place. 71 is still holding it on that inside line, and as we come up to the checkered flag, Broström across the line is eventually going to take the victory from the 37 of Jesper Eriksson. It was a hard-fought victory in the end. We thought he'd won it. The game gave him a final lap dash to the end, and despite the final lap board coming up, he had to do one more, and he completed it, and eventually does take a race victory here. And that is the absolute pinnacle of how you handle that pressure as he comes to give us some donuts alongside the 24, who of course won the first race of the evening.
And he couldn't do the donuts, so it's well earned for Aronson to do his donuts. So it took him about 135 to 75. So I would say this is 210 laps for Aronson, but he's now able to do those donuts effectively. It
might be a little bit more difficult with the old tyres that they've got, because of course most of those top drivers didn't take a pit stop. They went all the way to the end of the 135 laps, and that was certainly quite something. But of course, it was a fun evening of racing here for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge, and it certainly was a challenge for some of these drivers. 2 races on the board for you, and let's show you the results of this second race. Of course, Linus Broström at the end, we thought he almost lost it, but in the end, he was able to hold on from Jesper Eriksson by 1/10 of a second. Aronson, your winner of the first race, goes back-to-back podiums, which is great for him and his championship hopes. Gunnarsson ends up in 4th, and Blix, after being spun around, ends up in 5th. Hagman in 6th, and Solo as well on those fresher tyres, just like Blix, gets up into 7th place. Haflinsson, Orman and Eriksson round out your top 10. Haflinsson also getting the fastest lap on lap 85. And of course, 26 drivers coming up to this race. Holmbaum, Uvenen, Helmborg inside your top 13. Nyholm, Allard, Scherb, Johansson inside your top 17. Vollen, Broström, Holmer. It's crazy to see so many of these drivers having spins, but able to get to the end of the race. And then the final page, we'll see Skoglund, and then the drivers many laps down with Schott, Salander, Tier, Larsen and Bratberg, your 26 drivers after 139 laps. So we ended up with a few extra there. So we'll go into the interviews and we'll bring in Linus Broström, who had a bit of a scare there at the end. But congratulations, Linus. Took you to round 13, but your first race victory of the season. How does that feel?
Does that count as 2 wins, since I won twice?
Yes, potentially, actually. Yeah, what was going on there? It said final lap. It called you across the line, and then it gave you another restart.
The time was up, and we got white flag and 2 to green, which means I was thinking about putting it single file and extending just to have everyone cruise across the line like we should. And then we got to the line again. We got 1 to green. It told us to line up, no checkered flag, and if I would have been P7, I would have just said race is over. Like, that's it, time is up, race should have been over now. But since I was in the lead, obviously I can't just take that decision. But I think the top 3 went unchanged, so we'll see if we make a count back or if we keep that, because it should have been over on time. But yeah, it feels amazing to finally get that win. I think it's been almost a year and a half since I got my last win in this series. See if I get to keep it. I made some contact with Huffley and I haven't watched that yet. But short track racing, so we'll see what happens there. Obviously I didn't want to spin him out or do whatever I did, so we'll have to see. But other than that, I think this race exceeded everyone's expectations, going the whole first race without a caution as well. So overall I'm just super happy and relieved, and Bright Esports potentially having race wins 3 oval weeks in a row, that's pretty good considering they didn't have a single one about 2 months ago.
Yeah, you're on a really good form. Yeah, you were your team, and overall, as you say, it was sort of above expectations in that way. But how do you think, or how did you manage all those cautions in that second race? Because it's very difficult to turn your brain on and off, and we probably had about 9-10 cautions in the end there. Was it quite difficult from the driving point of view?
I mean, my favorite track is Martinsville, and if you've ever done an oval race there, you know what that's like. So, if anything, I think I have an advantage over a lot of other people because I'm used to that. But you know, it's all about when am I going to pit? Am I going to pit at all? Halfway through the first stage, when the first couple of cautions came, I thought I was going to pit and drive back through the field, but people were still setting fast laps, and then I was thinking maybe stay out until the stage, but then I was so far up the field and a few people had spun out, so I just stayed out, and eventually that turned out to be the right thing, because you don't really want to give up all that track position on a short track either, so it's very important to stay up front if you can get there. And yeah, so but if this would have been one long race, I think we would have seen a lot of varying strategies with pit stops, because people would have had to pit, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see North Wilkes back though. So yeah, well done for bringing that on the schedule, and congratulations for your first victory of the season.
First 2, thank you.
Your first. Absolutely. And talking of victories, we'll next bring into the booth Eracing in the number 24, of course, winning that first race from pole position. It was a little while ago now, Alexander, but just bring us back, and what were your thoughts after winning that first race?
Yeah, that felt great to be able to finish off with a win. I mean, I thought I had pretty good pace coming into the race from all the practice, and practice today as well, and qualifying felt good. But I was afraid that I was just waiting for the caution to come out and losing it on pit strategy there. But thankfully, somehow we stayed green all the way, and I managed to win pretty comfortably.
Absolutely. Then moving to the second race, you had to start from P20, which out of 26 is very difficult. How was that in the first few laps?
Yeah, that was interesting to say the least. I mean, with a lot of different cars with different pace in this, trying to fight for the same position. Me trying to conserve my tires a bit and not just send it every corner, while some other guys they were just sending it, trying to advance early on in the race. So that was a bit challenging to try to move through the field and not sustain any damage or get involved in anything. But it worked pretty well. Just ran out of laps to be able to get back to the front.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're looking very good now with a second race victory to your name. So yeah, we wish you luck in the final couple of races of the regular season.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
And lastly, we'll bring in the driver we've spoken to a few times this season, Jesper Eriksson, the number 37. Not a race victory today, but Jesper, some very, very strong results. You must be very happy with double podium today.
Oh, I'm very pleased with double podiums. I haven't. I drove my first laps yesterday and just trying to work my way through the track and learn. I was like, no, I'm gonna spin out some of the times. This is not gonna be good. But it held. No idea how, and we went for some awesome racing. It's just awesome to go all the way through green in the first race, and now some really, really close racing with everyone, with Michael and with Linus, and awesome races. Just so much to see. So fun to see.
Absolutely. And how did you find the the inverted grid, because you actually got up in sort of the top 5, top 6 very quickly.
Oh, I love inverted grids. I absolutely love it. Every time we do it in the Formula 4 series and now in NASCAR too, I absolutely love it. It's an extra challenge which I'm absolutely glad to take and enjoy it very much.
Yeah, certainly. It's been a great season for you. So, yeah, no wins today, but you're looking good leading the way. So, yeah, congratulations. And, yeah, we'll probably speak to you next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Have a good one, guys.
Absolutely. So there was Jesper Eriksson there, 2 times P2 today. But that does round us up here for the MABI Hyrbilar Short Track Challenge. And what a event it was. One race completely green, the other almost completely caution. But that's how it goes. So that is round 12 and 13 done on the calendar. And we just have Pocono and Talladega to do before we get to the playoffs. So the next 2 rounds are really just looking at who can get themselves inside that top 15 and confirm their places to Chicagoland and Richmond for the round of 15 before, of course, Michigan, Dover and Homestead Miami to get your champions at the championship race. So the next race here is going to be Pocono Raceway, the 8th of February in a couple of weeks' time. But of course, we have the Formula 4 League running simultaneously as well. So Thursday night, same place, same time, is either going to be the NASCAR or the Formula 4s over the next few weeks. So we look forward to that. But from myself, Cameron Roger, we've got Lorenzo Bonda alongside me and Dame Baird on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. We thank you for watching and we look forward to seeing you again next time.